Welcome to Refined Resilience. I'm your host, Carrie Hill, and on this podcast, we highlight the small moments that shape our journey toward greatness and remind us that resilience isn't linear. Each episode features stories of perseverance and the little victories that often go unnoticed, illustrating that resilience is about finding strength in everyday life. Well, everybody, I am so thrilled for who I have on my show with me today. My friend, Marianne Hickman, is an international public speaker and a personal speaking mentor who specializes in inspiring businesses, owners, and coaches to monetize their message through appearing on stages. She does a fabulous job, by the way. Marianne's been featured on over 2,400 worldwide stages. Wow.
I know, it makes me sound really cool.
That's crazy. Yes. Focusing on enriching and cultivating the development of your story, message, and revenue. And her life's motto is to make good people crazy wealthy. I love it. She's also, she has been, she's not now, but she has been a single mother. And she brought her family from food stamps to a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio and a multiple six-figure income. She's married to her best friend, Richard Hickman, and together they are raising 6 children. 6 children!
Mm-hmm.
Girl, we could spend a whole podcast talking about 6 children.
Each one of them deserves their own show, especially the 2-year-old. He's such a tyrant right now.
Hi.
How are you, my girl?
I'm so happy that you're here with me.
Thank you. I'm stoked to be here.
You're like one of those people that there are a handful of, right, in your life where you just meet somebody and you're like, oh, I really like you.
Yeah.
I like you.
Yes, we need to go hat making.
Yes. Oh, it's going to happen. For all of you listening out there, if it hasn't happened by the time we get to this podcast.
If you're a lady and you're a friend and you live in Utah, get excited.
It is happening. That's right. Marianne, okay, so we've obviously heard you're this incredible person and you are making an incredible impact for a lot of people. And what you do is not easy. You make it look easy as a speaker coach, but it's not. The way that you do it, it's not. It's super engaged. It's hands-on. It's one-on-one, and you're just amazing at it. So what I really love about that profile and about you is that narrative of taking your family from food stamps to 6-figure income. I mean, I've been on food stamps.
Yeah,
I know that journey, and so I would love to hear what brought you to this point. So just take me back to that moment where you're here and you're struggling, and what got you there, and what was that like for you?
Well, this is one of the places that you and I really connected.
Yeah.
When we went out for coffee, and I was like, oh my gosh, you have this big mission to help people like me. I wish I had you.
Yeah.
Back in that time.
Yeah.
Because I had myself
right.
and my own belief and grasping it, whatever would help. So, I mean, when I was married to my first husband, I was under this illusion, and maybe you've done this too, where you feel like when you grow up, suddenly there's this download that gives you the ability to figure stuff out.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Like I'm a grown up. I should have my house paid off and no credit card debt.
And that word will kill you.
Yeah. When we should on ourselves, it's real messy.
Yeah.
So, it didn't come for me.
Right.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was balancing the checkbook as I did every day. I had like my QuickBooks version, my bank version, and I had my paper flip chart, checkbook, which I found the other day, by the way. I was unpacking boxes and I can't believe I've kept this.
You should frame it.
Oh, I should.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Oh my gosh, with the red lines where everything was negative all the time.
Yep.
And it's almost like talking about it now is almost humorous, but it was anything but funny back then.
And you were single at this time, or you were still married?
Not quite yet. Okay. So I was married at the time, and we had job instability. I went to work a little bit. I came home to raise the babies, and my ex went to work. And it was, with all due respect to the family that he's raising right now, for me at the time and for our family, it wasn't working. We were just digging ourselves into this deeper hole. I was going to school because that's what we were supposed to do.
Right.
Racking up tuition. Every time I had to buy an $80 textbook, I died a little bit inside.
Yeah. Yes.
It just was wretched. And so I'm sitting there one day, and it was one of those moments where I had listened to someone on social media and I was like, I should do some self-care. I need to go get my hair cut. And this moment of, okay, I don't know how I'm going to pay for a haircut. And do I just go without? and I'm looking at my PayPal, and I'm looking at my other business, which wasn't really a business. I didn't even own an LLC. It was just a DBA. And I was like, I have to move money from this credit card through this PayPal account into this PayPal account, take a distribution, pay the fees all along the way in order to pay Christina to do my hair. A good friend of mine down the road. And everything was negative. And I felt bad, like I shouldn't be buying a haircut, but why? And I'm also mad.
Yeah.
Why is buying a haircut such a financial burden?
Girl, I've been there. I know that feeling. Yeah.
And I discovered welfare at that point, and I discovered a heat program where, you can apply for government aid to pay for your heating and electric bill for 4 months at a time. And I got on food stamps. We more than qualified for food stamps. I went to the WIC offices, brought my kids with me so we could all, get drug tested and all that so that we could get food vouchers. And I mean, there was moment after moment after moment of this bites.
Yeah.
This really sucks. I'm at the checkout line separating my food with those little plastic belt things because this is for this WIC coupon and I have to get this 20-ounce loaf of Sara Lee, not the 16-ounce loaves, otherwise I have to put it back. And then I get all that done and then I have to use my food stamps and I have to just like the embarrassment of having a food stamps card, knowing that the person behind me had taxes, was probably paying for my groceries.
Girl, I have a whole story about that. Yes, I do know. Yeah.
And then they're like, you shouldn't have a cell phone. You shouldn't have an iPhone. How dare you have an iPhone? And they never said these things. This was all my own judgments, perceptions about them on myself. And this moment came when I was just like, okay, God, this wasn't a pleading prayer. This was like, we need to sit down.
We're having
here.
A chat.
We're going to have a
talk. Yeah.
I had gone out to Utah Lake and I was so mad that it was frozen over and I was out throwing rocks at the lake, just screaming my nightmarish bloody out because no one could hear me there. It was pretty safe to do that there. So I didn't look like a crazy person. I was, but it didn't seem, And then I sit down with God and I kneel down next to my bed and I'm alone at this point. No one else is home. I think I just put the baby to bed. And I was like, define the financial relationship talk. And I was like, listen, you say in scripture we're supposed to be wealthy. I am hearing from all of these other mentors in my life all over, events that I've gone to and social media that we're supposed to be wealthy. What's the deal? Yeah. What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? And so I said, I need you, as if I can tell them what to do. I need you to put a box of 100 grand on my front porch. Or you got to show me somebody new in this world that can teach me the money game, because my parents haven't figured it out the way I want to. None of my college professors have figured it out the way that I want to figure it out. My older siblings haven't yet figured it out the way I want. I want to dream big because you tell me I'm entitled to that. Show me. Show me. And I mean, I checked the front porch. I was in my head, it was like a paper box.
Yeah.
Full of cash that would show up on my porch, and it didn't.
Whatever
show
you
up,
got to visualize,
I know. I was like, manifest. But I went to an event and I met someone that claimed to have the results, and I was like, prove it. And so I got their number and I investigated. I bought my first mentor, and then I acquired credit cards. I went to creditcards.com, acquired credit cards, went into $25,000 worth of debt. And I said, but if this person is everything they say they are, maybe this is the answer.
Oh, Marianne,
right?
I feel that though. That hope that you put out there, like I feel that. Yeah.
It was the biggest risk I'd ever taken. And I paid off those credit cards over 5 years, but I got introduced to that mentor and another mentor and another mentor and another mentor. And I watched, and this is what I tell everyone that wants to get on stage: go to events, buy the most expensive ticket you can afford, and watch from an audience perspective and absorb everything that they're teaching, but also watch what they're doing. Where is their whiteboard? Break down their content. How do they deliver it? Where's the sales table? Where's the banner? And watch for patterns. Yeah. Because if these patterns are repeated, that means there's some semblance of success here. And that's what I started doing, is just repeating the patterns that I saw, both from an absorber's perspective from the audience, give me your content, but also, why are you doing what you're doing as a speaker? Because I watched this guy, Kirk Duncan, love the guy. Kirk, I need you to have you on my show. Please respond to me. So I watched him do a CTA, call to action from stage, and I counted the audience. There were about 700 people there, and I watched about 322, based on my rough counting, get up and go to the back and buy a $400 thing. And I was like, okay, I'm no genius, but 322 times 400 is a lot. Yeah. And he did it in moments. And I was like, how do I do that? And the people were stoked to buy.
Yeah.
You're like, here, I want what you have more than the money in my pocket. Give me what you have. And I was like, how do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
And I've spent years developing that and how to figure that out. And that's what now I teach other people to do.
Yeah.
That's the long answer to your
question. Well, but I just like, that's a minute. Like I need a minute to digest that, because you've packed years. I mean, literally people spend their adult life trying to figure out how to do this thing that took you a relatively short amount of time to figure out. Probably didn't seem or feel like
I mean, it doesn't seem that way at all.
But looking back, it's like, I mean, what have you spent? 10, 12 years really in this space? And over the past like 3 or 4 years, you've really taken off.
Yeah.
And so for any women that have been in that situation, Marianne, you and I have both been there, and the haircut is a luxury. The sourdough bread on the shelf at the grocery store is a luxury, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so being in that moment versus being in the state of life that you're in right now, and, speaking about resiliency and going through those things, like what pulled you through? I've heard you say, I was angry at God. I took so there was a spiritual compass there. I mean, you can be mad at God, but that's when you have a real relationship with your maker.
So true.
Because it's real. I don't have to like you all the time.
Yeah.
I don't. I love you.
We don't like our parents all the time.
But I don't like you all the time. Right now, I'm really frustrated because I'm way down here trying to figure out how to get my hair cut. And meanwhile, Joe Schmo up the street and his family are on vacation with Louis Vuitton luggage.
Yeah, I know.
And
oh
it's just that juxtaposition of knowing that it's possible and not knowing how to get there.
That was so frustrating.
Yes. It's the most frustrating.
And then we commit this sin of comparison,
right.
and even to magnify that, you could judge them as idiots.
Yeah.
On social media. I'm like, okay, this person, I know I'm smarter than that.
Right.
And yet they're more successful than me. What the heck?
Right.
This 16-year-old that's squishing foam on her Instagram is making $100,000 a month. Come on.
Right. Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
And that was so aggravating to me. And I did have a big issue with God.
Yeah.
And I had a big issue with organized religion. And when I got divorced, it got exacerbated because all of these, you know what it's like. I mean,
yeah,
especially here in the culture the sub-socio-religious culture that we live in, when a divorce happens, and they happen a lot, we question everything. Who am I?
Right.
Who am I without this other person? Did I like who I was in that relationship? Who am I on my own? What really makes me happy? God, dating is a whole nother thing. I won't even get into that.
That's a whole podcast.
Oh my gosh. But this journey of discovery of what do I really enjoy doing? And why am I not doing it all the time? And then how do I monetize
and
it?
how do I, well, and how do I take the skills that I have right now in this moment, wherever I'm at, whether that be welfare or school or wherever you are on your journey, right? How do I take what I know my ability is and my skills and my intelligence, and how do I transfer that to something actionable? I think for me, Marianne, I hadn't really worked. I freelanced and I took on contracts, and lucky that I did that because it led me to some opportunity when I needed it. But there were still those moments where I was sitting in my room on the floor, literally having that conversation with God. I'm so mad. I did everything that I knew that I was supposed to do, and I did it well.
Yeah.
And I know I've done it well. And here I am on the floor crying on welfare. What?
Yeah.
Like, these are not adding up for me.
Yeah. Because
I believe, like you believe, I'm a divine person. We are all divine people. I am a divine creator, co-creator. I am a powerhouse person. And right now I just feel abandoned.
Yeah. Well, even getting to the point where you can say that about yourself with full confidence is a major milestone.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't always say that about myself.
Right.
And believe it.
Right. Oh, me neither.
It was true.
Right. It's easy to say looking back, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
But I was just having that conversation with my son this morning.
Yeah.
On the way to school, and owning who you are, being able to look at your gifts. Jimmy Rex calls it his badass list. And I think this is a list that all of us should have. I have one on my phone. I'm like, these are the cool things that I've done, and we should keep track of that.
Yes. And do it every day.
Yeah.
My friend that you met actually right before we came on, today, but her name's Angela Martindale, and she really taught me the power of I am statements. You know, really putting that visibly so that you could see it on a sticky note, putting it in your phone, putting it on your car visor, right? Anywhere that you are where you can have an affirmation like that badass statement about who you are. It works. Yeah. It really does work.
Did you see Snoop Dogg made a children's album with the affirmation song?
No, that's amazing.
My son loves Snoop Dogg, like the children's album.
I love that.
He made an affirmation song. I'm like, way to be.
Yes.
Bro. Yes. Like, I don't agree with everything that you've done, but this is cool.
But that's cool. Yeah. Well, what was it that got you out of that place though, Marianne? Because, you know, you said, I'm frustrated. I have to pay, everything's in the red, and I have to do all these things just to go get a haircut. I'm smarter than this. My family hasn't figured it out. I know I can. How do I do that? So what pulled you out of that kind of dark hole, if you will?
Yeah, well, Alex Hormozi talks about this pivotal moment. I don't know if he's coined it as that phrase, but he said we have ebbs and flows, and we always do. And when you get down to the bottom, you have two options. You can keep going down. Yeah. Or you can decide that that's your rock bottom. Right. And you can start looking for answers and looking up and climbing out. For me, I believe we decided what our rock bottom was. We decide when we've had enough. Yeah. We decide when to pull up our britches and go for it. And so in that moment, when I made my negotiation with God, I said, something's got to give here, and it's not going to be me. Right. So you got to come through for me.
So it's a really one-sided conversation here.
It kind of was. I was kind of mean, but I'm sure he's used to it. Yeah. So I started, since I made the demand, I started looking for the answer. Right. And yes, I looked at my front porch, but I also looked for the other demand, which was, you got to show me somebody that's done this. So I started looking. And once I created that awareness, I was like, in order to find this person, I have to go to where they might be. So I started going to live events. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I went to live event after live event after live event. And I still do, because I love them so much. Yeah. I love meeting. I mean, we met at a live event. You know, I mean, that's how, when you go to live events, you meet other people who go to live events to meet cool people. Yeah. They just go there.
So we actually connected on social media before that, though.
We did, when we took off together.
No, yeah. But I think what was so crazy is that we really didn't engage that much. It was just like, hi, I see you, I see you. You know? And then to have that full circle moment where like energy finds like energy. Like, Marianne, I didn't know that was your story. I had no idea that was your journey. I just saw this incredible powerhouse woman on social media talking about stepping into your power, right? And that's all I really knew about you. I'm finding it so much on this podcast, particularly with the guest. It's like, we had this connection before, but it wasn't anything really.
Oh, for sure.
And then full circle, here we are having this amazing conversation. So I believe in the power of going to live events to find that person. Yes. You have to. You know, that's how this ends up happening.
Yeah. And that's how, you want to hear a crazy story about that?
Yeah, tell me.
So always looking for stages to place my speakers, right? And so I went on Eventbrite of all things. Yeah. And I was like, just surfing through there. And then I saw a teen event that Debbie was putting on. And I was like, I've got teens. Let's go. Yeah. And so I put my teen on for that event, and I met Debbie more in person there. Yeah. We had met a while back, but this was like the first space that we had shared an event where she was hosting. It was through Debbie that I met Sean, because it was at his place at the Tax
Finnegan
Hive.
with Tax Hive. Yeah,
exactly.
Shout out to both of you, Debbie and Sean.
And then I had Sean on my podcast, and then Sean let me his space for my events, and we met in person because we were at that space together. I'm like, I can track, and it's so cool. Yeah. And it might sound cliche to say go to live events, but that's where cool things happen. That's where cool people hang out. And if you're looking for something that you don't know, you should go. Yeah. It doesn't just go. Go to Eventbrite or whatever. Like, if you're listening, just find something in Eventbrite and go to it.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, it doesn't have to be like a speaking event, or it doesn't, but that sense of finding your tribe is a proactive. Finding means that you actually go find it. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And so, the exercise of doing that. And I think especially when you are in a place where you are alone, you do feel by yourself. You are in that space of mired in what is the solution, more important than ever that you go find that tribe. Yeah. That you be proactive in that space. And I think, you are such a great example of that, Marianne, and the resiliency with which you came through that, which I know is not easy.
No, of course not. I mean, going to the gym is never easy.
Taking your whole family to get a drug test. Yeah,
it sucks.
Do you know what I mean?
You know,
it's like that hurts in a different way.
Yeah.
You know,
you feel like, who am I? I hope nobody sees me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what am I doing here? And oh my gosh, it's just, it becomes this turning point of thank you, first of all, for the help, because I really needed it. And I'm so crazy grateful.
Yeah.
And I never want to do this again.
Yes. Oh, this is why we're friends, girl, because every word you say, I feel it to my core, you know? But being able to make it through that experience is, you know, going in, you were talking about being in line, you know, using your food stamp card. I was actually in line using this food stamp card for the first time. Marianne, I've been on like probably, I don't know, 5 interviews that week. I was just coming back from an interview to stop and get milk.
Oh my gosh, isn't this crazy?
You know, and in my like 10-year TJ Maxx clothes that I bought 10 years ago. And I'm still looking presentable and nice. And like I have it put together, you know, and I'm standing here and I pull this Horizon food stamp card out for the first time. And this lady behind me says quietly, but audibly, "Do you even really need that dress like that?"
I can't believe that escaped her lips out loud.
It came out.
Bless her heart, wherever she is. But
you know, well, I used it as a moment. I thought, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Like 6 years, 1 year ago, this was not where I was at.
Yeah.
Just to let you know. But here I am. I've been on X amount of interviews this week. I'm coming back from an interview today. My home life is this. This is a place I never thought I would be. But I am doing everything I need to do to take care of my family. And so right now, yes, I do need this.
Yeah.
And I mean, she just, first of all, didn't expect that I heard or responded. But the fact that I took a moment, Marianne, it was for me more than her.
Yeah. I was like, more power to you.
Because if I felt it, right? It was like, now I'm not that poor person on poverty and struggling. And no, I'm doing what I need to do to take care of my family, whatever that is.
Whatever it takes.
So let's go. Yeah. Right. And I walked out of that store feeling more confident about my circumstance because of that experience. And so, you know, to hear you go through yours, I feel it.
I never took that opportunity while I was in the moment. I was speaking on stages.
Yeah.
With my food stamps card.
Wow.
Like, I wasn't preaching.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I was speaking.
Wow.
I wasn't speaking
Marianne.
on financial freedoms, hadn't achieved it yet.
Yeah.
I was talking about mindset. I was talking about all of the things that I had learned. Lots of speaking about speaking, which is like crazy inception. But and then I would go home, and on my way, I would stop and use my food stamps card. Do you know how like?
Wow.
I was like, I hope nobody sees me.
Yeah.
Right now, because if they knew.
Yes.
That I was speaking on stage and all the assumptions that go with that, and they also knew I was on food stamps. Mm-hmm. They would think I was lying to them, even though I wasn't. Mm-hmm. I was in no way misrepresenting anything, but it felt like, I hope no one recognizes me. Mm-hmm. It just, and
then you think, what would have been the worst thing if somebody did? Like, what could have been the worst thing that would have happened if somebody did see you?
You know what my fear was?
Yeah.
My fear was that they wouldn't take what I shared seriously.
Yeah, you know? I get that. I totally get that.
But I was speaking with like when I would speak on mindset, I was using my own tools that I was sharing to pull myself out of a really terrible situation, waiting for the results to catch up with my brain. My brain was there. $1 million status, all of that, but my results had yet to catch up.
Oh, I feel that. Talk more about that. That's such a powerful place to be, because I think we really we place ourselves where our money is. We
assign a value to that.
Yeah, we don't look at ourselves often and say, no, I am already this thing.
Yeah.
Like, and we know mindset coaches, that's what we learn. Life coaches, that's what we're always taught, that show up the way that you want to be. But it's a different thing wanting to be that and actually knowing that you are that thing.
Right. Regardless of how you feel about it. Yeah.
So what was that like for you? And how do you help other people understand that?
Well, there's that song from Ugly Dolls that has a phrase in it that says, I'm going to butcher it, but it's like, I know I've got this because I've had it all along. It makes me cry even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because we forget. When we were born a 10 out of 10, and that's never changed.
Yeah.
But we forget because we pick up baggage all along the way, and we carry that baggage because we think we have to, and it's ridiculous. I remember I was driving northbound on I-15, right where they built that overpass, right by UVU.
Yeah.
And I was driving in my 2001 Mazda minivan, which I felt so posh because I had electric doors that I didn't have to manually open and close. But
it's the small things.
It really was. But I mean, it had a dent in it, caught fire in my garage later. It was a beautiful piece of junk. I'm grateful for it. But I had another DTR with God. I was less of a brat this time. And I was like, well, can we just do something together? And he's like, yeah, what? And I was like, can we just pretend that I've already made it? Can we just pretend? He's like, yeah. So in my mind's eye, I opened up my pretend cell phone and I logged into my pretend banking app and I opened my pretend account and it said $1 million in there. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then I thought about all the things that meant that could occur, all the people that I'd helped along the way and all the value that I would have to add to the world in order to get that kind of compensation, and all of the home that I used in my brain as a manifestation of having made it, and the car that I would be driving as a manifestation of having made it, and all the toys. I was like, okay, well, now what?
Yeah.
And it was that like Rapunzel moment, Entangled, when what happens if I get everything that I've ever dreamed of?
Yeah.
What would I do then? And the first thought that came to me was a relief. All the tension left my body, like I did it. And then the next question was, now what?
Yeah.
What would you do if you achieved every measurable, metricable financial milestone? Then what would you do? And that is what I started doing that day, which is where this concept of make good people crazy wealthy, because good people deserve to have the resources that need their hands to get where the resource needs to go. Yeah. We need more philanthropists. We need more people that are generating business. I was posting on some social platform the other day, and I was like, hey, this is what I do. I teach people to create courses and create wealth. And then this comment came through. It made me laugh. He said, oh, you're just making money scamming people by saying, hey, get on stage and do this call to action so you can make money, but that's how you're making money. And I was like, yeah.
We all have to make money, my friend.
Yeah. I make a business teaching people how to make money. How cool is that?
Right. Yeah.
But this moment in the car of just practicing living as if felt so freeing. It felt so liberating. It still affects me today of what would I do if everything that I had already dreamed had already happened?
Yeah.
What would I do then? And in my best days, I live in that action step.
I love that so freaking much. And it's not new, right? It's not like a new concept that hasn't been in the world for centuries, right?
No.
But I think harnessing that, Marianne, there are a few people, and I say a few, there's hundreds of thousands of people that can talk about this topic, but there are a few people that can live this topic and really, and you feel it when you're sitting in the audience with someone that's authentically living this experience, and because it doesn't end, because you never,
of course not,
because you never have everything. You're always working for something.
Can you imagine if this was arrived?
Yeah.
Like there was nowhere to grow from here.
Yeah.
I'd feel pretty ripped off.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're always, and it's not greed.
But it's funny because somebody's dream is sitting right here with that, like this.
Right?
This is someone's dream.
Yeah.
This is my dream.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to be like, what if I got invited to be on a podcast one day? Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
And now I own my own, and now I'm going to have you on my show. And then I'm like, okay. So first of all, gratitude.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? Because we now have the things that we prayed for.
How do you express gratitude? How do you feel gratitude? Like, what do you do to recognize it?
So I love this topic, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I'm such a nerd. I like researching the vibrational frequencies of gratitude. And
that's amazing.
Have you seen this?
No, tell me more.
I need to text you this graphic. So there's a graphic that has some kind of machine has been calibrated and invented and is sensitive enough to detect literal wavelengths and vibrational frequencies of our energy, of anger, of sadness, of gratitude, and all of these things. And you can measure it now because we have the right instruments for it. And they say gratitude is the highest vibrational frequency that exists.
Yeah.
You can't be grateful if you're too full of ego. They just don't mesh well together.
Right.
So
there's no room.
There's not.
Yeah.
You can't vibrate in two things at the same time. So this gratitude, I heard someone say this once and it has stayed glued to my brain. What if you lost everything tomorrow that you didn't say thank you for today? Oh my gosh. So the list
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm grateful for this cute little table. I would like to have this tomorrow. I'm going to say thank you for this. I'm grateful that my children have their sight, have their health. I'm grateful for my home. I'm grateful that the heat works. And like, when you start thinking about what would be gone if I didn't say thank you for it, in my darkest moments, which I still have.
Yeah.
Yesterday I had a dark moment.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that, because I think sometimes, listeners, viewers, when we see people that are successful, that have made it, and it's always about the past, what made you who you are, but to sit in a space and say, no, this is an ongoing journey for me. And I'm in my reel just the same way that you are in your reel. And I think that's really a beautiful connective.
Well, anyone that doesn't, or pretends they don't have dark moments is just living a lie.
But I don't think it's that people pretend that they don't. I think that's we, the listeners and the viewers, assume that
I think
they
it's
don't.
Both.
Right?
Some people, they're like, I'm happy every day all the time.
True.
I'm like, now
that's
I can't
true.
trust you.
Yeah, that's true. You're like, no, you don't. You're not real.
I'm like, don't lie to me.
What have you done with the human? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I had a dark moment yesterday.
Yeah,
and it was it was like it was so frustrating, and not to say frustrating that I was there again, but I was having a moment of frustration, and my husband and I are working on communicating better, and this is the part where we sucked at it. And when I have those dark moments, gratitude is what pulls me out. Yeah, every time. And it's gratitude without sarcasm. It's gratitude, and it was really cool because later that
say that again.
Gratitude without sarcasm.
Gratitude without sarcasm.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, give me an example.
Well, I was so I realized this about myself thanks to my husband's reflection of this for me. He pointed it out to me, and I was not thankful at the time.
Sure.
And I realized that when I feel threatened, I go to sarcasm as a protective mechanism, which is against the core of who I am, because I don't like sarcasm at all. Yeah. But I realize I use it to protect myself.
Yeah.
And I went there yesterday, and as I was driving home, I was on a podcast, and the host asked me at the very end, he said, "Who is one of your heroes?" And then he just used other words to describe this person, and I wasn't listening because I was stuck on this one word, hero. And instantly I said, my husband is one of my heroes. And this is a word I use to describe him. And in that moment, I was like, but I was just yelling at him earlier today.
How can these two things be true?
Right? And the gratitude for this person who puts up with my specific level of crazy, and who showed up and married me with 5 kids and said, I am their dad and I will take that on. And it shifted the dark moment that I was experiencing into, I'm grateful that we had that moment, because you can't be strong if you don't go to the gym and lift the heavy things.
That's right.
And our marriage is stronger because of those dark moments. And when we have dark moments financially, we're stronger when we're on the other side. When we have whatever dark moment you're in, if you decide to bounce off the bottom instead of going deeper, you are stronger because of it. Right. And gratitude is the ladder that pulls me out. Yeah.
And it's amazing when you start listing really, truly things that you are deeply grateful for. It is a very long list.
Yeah.
Really long. And it's nice to have it too, if you document that, because, you have a gratitude journal, or you have whatever that looks like for you. But in those moments, just to be able to reference that and go back and say, oh yeah, I've been here before.
Yeah.
I remember this, and this is what I was grateful for during that time. Let me sit there for a minute and feel that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. So Marianne, you're single. Let's just go back for a second. You're single. How many kids at this? 5 kids?
Yeah.
Like all, okay.
Yep.
I have 3, and that was enough.
It gets easier after 3.
Yeah. You don't keep track of them anymore. You're like, I don't know where they are.
Valid. My mom had 10, and literally we're reading her journals right now.
Goodness, 10 kids.
Almost every day.
Wow.
She writes herself a note, and she's like, I need to keep track of where my kids are better.
I love that. Well, I think anytime that I say, they're like, anytime that somebody asks me where I'm from, I'll say, I'm living in Utah right now. And they're like, so you're probably LDS, Catholic, or maybe Jewish. Like, which one of those are they? How many kids do you have? They go through the gamut of it's just such an interesting word association. Like,
oh, I know.
Who you are and is how many kids you have, like where you live. And
oh my gosh, it so cracks me up. I was just in Florida, and a friend of mine was, the religion thing came up. And in the group, they're like, oh, you're from Utah, so that must mean all of these things about you. And I was like, well, you know, I am, but I drink coffee. So there's that for you. And then my other friend was like, but she has 6 kids. And like, okay. We're back.
Things are more in line now. I feel more comfortable.
You scared me for a minute.
So you're a single mom. You've got 5 kids. You're ambitious. You're trying to make things happen for yourself. And what was the aha moment for you? You've done all these things. You're going to speaker and you're doing all these things. You meet this man, right? Which I want to get to in a minute for all the women out there who are wondering, how do you navigate all of this and end up in a really happy, healthy marriage? A second marriage, that's a whole nother thing. But for you, what was the aha moment for you that you went, I'm doing really amazing. I'm good, right? What was that for you?
I feel like I still have those moments.
Yeah.
You know, I would, again, just yesterday, I was like, no, it wasn't. It was last week. I was like, does anything I'm doing create value? Am I really creating value for people? I'm like, is this any good? You know, and it's weird to say that when, yes, I have paying clients, of course, like I wouldn't if it wasn't working. But this back in time, if I go back to that moment, it was actually prior to my divorce.
Okay.
Because when the divorce was... it was being led up, time was leading up to the divorce, you start to feel these vibrational dissonances, right? Mm-hmm. And I was in my bathroom and it was almost as if my future self paid me a visit. And she said, it's your turn. It's our turn. It's my turn. It's my turn. It was like, I'm waiting in line. And I love this analogy. It was a story about a man who was running a marathon. And at the end of the marathon, I don't know if you've ever run a marathon.
No, girl.
Wouldn't recommend it. 2 stars.
It's not even on my bucket list.
Yeah, you don't have to be. And at the end of the race, there's these tables and all of these food and things. And at the end of the race, there's this table of bagels. And there's a line from the runners to get to the bagel. And this guy goes up and he just grabs a bagel. He doesn't get in line. And everyone's like, hey, there's a line. And he's like, I don't see any signs that say that we have to wait in line. I'm just going to take my turn. And that was the feeling. It's just my turn. I'm not waiting in line anymore. It's just my turn. And what does that mean? And now that I gave myself permission to, it's my turn. It's my turn to have the life that I want. It's my turn to do, and it takes work and it took time. But what happened from that moment is I elevated my frequency to where I wasn't tolerating things that vibed down here. I wasn't tolerating behaviors. I wasn't tolerating people. I wasn't tolerating friendships that didn't support this higher vibration. And that precipitated a dissolution of the marriage. And at the time when it was actually kind of in the moment, it was kind of beautiful how we both realized that we were not helpful to each other's dreams.
Yeah.
And we drew up the divorce papers together.
Yeah.
You know, we went on Valentine's Day to the office to file them. Like, and it got uglier after that when there's fallout after that, you know. But in the moment, it felt like, it felt so peaceful because I knew what I was protecting, which was where I was going and what I wanted to do. And in this, it's my turn, this feeling of just giving yourself permission to do whatever it is that you want to do. Give yourself permission to start a podcast. Give yourself permission to make a name for yourself. Give yourself permission to live what makes you happy. And you can try it and see what happens. And I tried that over and over and over again. And so then when the divorce happened, oh my gosh, there's so much to learn about myself. I'm like, what do I like? What are my standards? I remember one night I had 3 dates that night, back to back to back to back. And I was like,
go you, girl.
Well, I mean, like,
but you have to, because you're on a mission to find out who you are. Well, and you can't do that unless you're actually dating or going on dates with other people. Yeah.
I felt so, I am sorry. Like that night.
But you've helped her become who she is today.
So bad. Like I went to this one date down on Center Street in Provo. And I haven't told anyone this story, so lean in.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. We were all dancing at the what is that place next to the Marriott? There's this dance hall there, like salsa chocolate or something.
Stairs.
It's on the ground floor.
On the ground? I don't know.
So we're all dancing, and then I was having the time of my life.
Yeah.
I love dancing, and he like walks.
Oh, I do know where it's at. I know exactly where it's at.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know the name, but I can see it. Yeah.
That one place.
Yep, that one place. Shout out to that one salsa place.
Well done. So we were dancing, and I like gave him a kiss while we were dancing because I was like feeling the chemistry, but it was like a theater kiss. And he walked me out to my car, and I was like, no, I'm okay. And he's like, you're the one that kissed me. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. Bye. I have another date to go to. And all of these, I was driving home from that night, and I was like, I don't know that I liked that.
Yeah.
What are my standards for me? Because there's no for the strength of a youth for single moms book, you know?
Sure.
So what are my standards? What do I want to tolerate? What do I like? I don't think I'm going to do that again because I don't like the way that felt.
Yeah.
And that feeling of what brings me joy, not just in the moment, but long term. How do I make the decision that channels that?
Right.
And when I started to do that, I developed way more self-respect, way more self-confidence. And when I first became single, it was a mission to find my husband because I knew I wanted to be married.
Right.
Right. And it was almost desperate. And I had to go through this refiner's fire of falling in love with myself so much that whoever I found would have to compete with me for that. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I know myself so well. I love myself so much. And if you're going to be married to me, you have to match that. And you might have to outdo it sometimes because I'm going to need you.
Yeah.
And if you don't, pass.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah. I feel it. But you know what?
You know what it's like?
There's a couple things that you've said, Marianne, that I want to touch on. One is you took initiative. I think initiative it does not come easy for the majority of people. Initiative is hard. It's hard to find your space to say, I'm not going to continue this. I'm going to make a different choice. It takes energy, and it takes sometimes a lot of struggle to get to that point, right? Where, oh, it's me.
Yeah.
I'm the
common
one
denominator.
Yeah, I'm the one that's preventing myself from doing this. So how can I do it differently? And I love that you shared that and you said that it's your turn. And what I love about that so much is that it's not your turn because you're entitled to something. It's your turn because you were driven with a purpose and a mission, and you knew something inherently about yourself that was just literally organic to you.
Yeah.
And you knew it. And so,
I wish I had you back then.
saying that in that moment though is, I think sometimes we say it's my turn out of a victim state.
Yeah.
It's my turn. It's my turn. I am supposed to.
Yeah.
I am. And this thing was taken away from me. And it's, but standing in a place where you accept that, and you see it, and you've lived it, and you can be in a moment that you go, no, it's all here. It's all here, and I've been through all of it, and it is my turn to do something different, right?
Yeah.
I've been the mom, I've been the spouse, I've been the speaker, I've done all these things. Not only is it my turn, but I also get to do it on my terms.
Yeah. And
right?
it gets to be fun.
So fun.
It gets to be fun. Like, I don't know if you experience this. I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Where you look at your day and everything that's on your calendar is awesome.
Yes. And you're energized and you're excited about it, and you cancel the things that don't bring you that feeling.
Yeah. And you're totally allowed.
And yes. And give yourself permission to do that.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a friend this morning that said, I'm stuck. I'm having a hard time saying no to going to all of these networking opportunities, and I feel like I have to be there for everything. I said, but why? It's okay for you to give yourself permission to say, no, I don't have the bandwidth for that right now.
Yeah.
So, and that's where it gets fun.
Well, and that's a really hard thing to discern too.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes, and again, Alex Ramosi coined this one and I agree with it, the thing that we avoid for limiting reasons is probably the thing that we should be doing.
Right.
The thing that scares us the most is oftentimes the key to unlocking everything we've been looking for. And I have struggled with how to explain that principle of how do I do what honors me when it includes the things that I've been avoiding?
Yeah.
Right? Like, am I going for short-term gratification of just booting things off my calendar because I'm scared? Or am I making choices because I'm in alignment with who I want to be?
Right. Well, and also you only have so many hours and so much time and so much energy in a day that's productive, right? And so, when you're making those choices, some of it is, I'm not really scared of this. I literally don't have the time to do this for what I'm trying to get done this week or in the next month, But you're right. The thing that's going to get you off the floor from crying in your room and yelling at God is you. You are the one. You have to get up and go do the hard thing. So I was terrified, Marianne, I was terrified that I would be the only person in my family making money. That was my number one fear, was that I would somehow be the provider of my whole family and not knowing what I was going to do to make that happen. And I vocalized it one time. And, 15, 16, 20 some years later, that's exactly where I found myself.
What was the fear of that for you? Was it like the burden of the...
I think it was just being, I don't think the belief of knowing that I could do it was the biggest fear, right? And so guess what
I'm not ready.
Guess what I got to do? Yeah, I had to do that exact thing. Oh, look what I have to do. And I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. But we're never prepared, are we?
I don't think so. Joseph McClendon, who is an amazing human, he's Tony Robbins' MC.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this was a manifestation crazy. I saw him on stage. I'm like, I'm going to have his phone number one day. I have it now. It's pretty cool. So
I love that. Good for you.
It took 3 years, but it was cool. Anyway, so
you're like, I text him once every day.
Hey, Joe. He's such a cool guy. Yeah. And so he said something, again, these phrases that live on a repeat in our brain. He said, human beings never really rise to their potential. We don't do that. It violates the laws of physics. It violates the laws of nature. We don't rise to our potential, but we do fall to our highest level of preparedness. We fall to our highest level of preparedness. So in some way, I'm not ready, but I'm willing is a highest enough level of preparedness with a willingness, even without what we judge to be the preparation, is sufficient.
Interesting.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's the same principle that allows a mother to lift a car off of her children when she hasn't, practiced lifting cars before. I'm falling to my highest level of preparedness because I'm prepared to save the lives of my children. And at the same time, it's okay. I was running the other day. I hate running, but I was.
Girl who runs marathons.
I did a half a marathon one time.
That counts.
But I was running one day and I was thinking about this falling to the highest level of preparedness because in my other part of my life, I like to pretend that I'm a prepper. I don't know if I qualify as far as like real preppers, but I thought
everyone go to Marianne's house for the zombie apocalypse.
Well, I have plenty of chili. So this skill of running, I was like, should the apocalypse happen?
Yeah.
God forbid. But I need to run. I need to be able to. So I'm going to go out and run today. Because that is probably one of the skills that I'm going to need. And I'll probably need to carry my 2-year-old with me. So maybe I'll run with a weighted vest. And in my mind, I've got Joseph McClendon on repeat, fall to the highest level of preparedness. So with my physical body, what do I need to be prepared to do? Well, I probably should be prepared to run. In my mental body, what must I be prepared to do?
Right.
And I need to be prepared to encounter emotional, physical storms with my spouse and come out better on the other side. I love
that. And you're not putting a specific journey to that. I think sometimes we're very specific about the thing that we're trying to be prepared for. And then when it's something else that we haven't prepared for, we're like, what, this was not what I prepared for.
Yeah. Shocker.
So I just love the general idea of like, what is the willingness level to be prepared in any circumstance? Yeah. What am I willing to do that thing?
Yeah.
And by doing the exercise of this thing, it's going to prepare me because I have an open mind and an open heart and a willingness to do whatever.
And that's enough. The willingness to do it is sometimes preparation enough.
Yeah. No, I love that principle. I'm going to sit with that and take that home today. Yeah. Marianne, you are a force. I love your energy so much. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being in the world and going through the hard stuff so that other people could sit in your light and your joy and learn. I'm so proud of you. I'm so impressed with you. And I want people to know more about where they can find you. So I have one more question before you tell everybody where they can connect with you. what would you say to people that are struggling right now about their ability to be resilient?
So resilience is, I'm going to quote Alex again because he's so great. He said that resilience can be measured by how fast you bounce back. A bouncy ball is resilient, right? Because it bounces right back up. And sometimes it might not bounce as high, but it bounces back. So if you're exercising resilience, I would just say take some advice from your future self. Have a sit down, have a coffee with your future self, because he or she is counting on you to become them. And so whatever they say to you in that moment, I know it sounds woo-woo, but who cares? Just listen to them, because they're going to give you really great advice, because they already are where you want to be.
I love that.
We never always go up, but we also never always go down.
That's right.
It's the laws of physics. There is an equal and opposite reaction to every force. So if you're feeling the crunch of a negative force, get excited, because the universe owes you one.
Woo. Well, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like the universe owes me right now something, Speaking about not being entitled, I'm like, no, it is my turn.
There's this book called The Little Money Bible. I recommend it for everybody because one of the exercises in there is like every day for 30 days, call your debts forth. Okay, it's time. You owe me. It's time. Not entitled, but I have incurred enough value and debt into the world where I am ready to be paid back in cash.
We need to have another conversation just about that.
Oh, have you read the book?
No, but I've heard about it.
Yeah.
Everybody has said that has read it. It is incredible. It's my homework. I know. Everybody says that too. It'll take you no time. I'm like, I know, I have no time. But yes, I absolutely want to read it. So, okay, Marianne, where can we find information out about you if people want to connect with you and just learn more about you, or even just take part in your speaking training?
Oh, yeah. I mean, MarianneHickman.com is my website. Okay. I really like people to text me though.
Okay.
So if you go 801-509-5495, just text me.
Okay.
And just have a real conversation.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Thank you so much for being you. I love this hat. It's my vibe. We're going to make the hat thing happen. It's coming.
I feel inspired with honestly, I have infused my inner Carrie into this hat, and it makes me feel more joyful. Good. And I hear your laugh every time I touch this hat. Ever since we had coffee, I'm like,
manifestation.
It's my Carrie hat.
Adore you. Find your tribe. For anybody listening, find your tribe, because we really do make each other better, and we make our burdens lighter for sure. So Marianne, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refined Resilience. We hope you found inspiration in the stories shared and the small moments that remind us all of our strength. Remember, resilience is built not just in the big challenges we face, but in the everyday experiences that shape who we are. A special thanks to our sponsor, Build Them Bless, for making Refined Resilience possible. Until next time, remember, it's the small moments of resilience that make us great.